today we'll teach you the chemistry of the natural product. First you must know what is the natural products. Now regarding the natural product, it is isolated from plant as well as animals. When it is isolated from plant, then it is called the plant natural product. And the best example is your chlorophyll. And when isolated from animal, then it is called as animal natural products. An example is your hemoglobin. That's why the plant natural products is classified in the number of categories. It is your terpenoids, steroid, flavonoids, alkaloids, carotenoids, etc. Now, first we'll take the flavonoid. It is a pigment. And all of you must know that what is the pigment? Pigment is the colored substances and again it occurs, its source can be plant oblique animal. ठीक है? That's why the pigment is classified in two categories. It is classified in two categories. That is plant pigment and animal pigment. That's why the source is animal and here is your living organism, so called your plant. That's why since we are dealing with the flavonoid and it is a plant pigment. This plant pigment is further classified into various categories. That is your plastid pigment, and it occurs in plastid, which is a specialized mast mass of protoplasm lying in cytoplasm. cytoplasm. And next category is your sep pigment. This occurs as solution in cell sep of plant. Now the example for this is anthocyanins. This is the bright red shade. And other example is your anthocyanins. So called your flavonoids. Glycosides. It is pale yellow. That's why this is the whole story. Then from where the flavonoids comes, and here the anthocyanins and the anthocyanidins, these are the flavonoids, and this is one of the category of your sep pigment. And regarding this plastid pigment, this is further classified. You can say this can be further classified. That is your leucoplast. This includes the colorless plastids. And next is your chromoplast. That is colored plastid other than green. It is other than green. And the last one is your chloroplast. It is your green plastid. And you can say it is your chlorophyll. Now here, this is the whole story, that from where the flavonoid coming. And let's come to the next part, that is how to define the flavonoids. And you can say this is the phenolic compounds distributed widely in nature. And it is known as anthocyanidins. They are known as anthocyanins. That's why, as I told you, it is a sap pigment. It is sap soluble and occurs in the cell sap of the plant. It means these are water soluble pigments. And this flavonoid, the word flavonoid is derived from Latin. It meaning yellow. Therefore, as I told you, this is known as the anthocyanthins, and now the flavonoids occurs as the glycoside. This can be associated with sugar, That's why suppose this is the R and this is oxygen and this is your glucose. That's why this R part is called as the aglycon. And GLU is your glucose. That's why this sugar, it can be anything else also. You can say, you can abbreviate like your sugar. Therefore, this can be glucose, this can be ramenose, this can be galactose, xylose, arabinose, and so on. And so on. That's why this, when it is associated with the sugar, then it is called as the glycoside. And your R is your aglycon. It can be your anything. It can be your flavonoid. It can be your terpenoid. It can be anything. That's why, suppose since we are dealing with the flavonoid, that's why it is your aglycon is your flavonoidic part. And it is called as glycoside when associated with the sugar. But when this is flavonoid OS, then it is called as O-glycoside, because the sugar is associated with the oxygen. That's why it is abbreviated as the O-glycoside. When it is directly attached with the carbon, moiety, then it is called C-glycoside. Therefore, in nature, the flavonoid is associated with the sugar normally, and therefore it is known as the anthocyanthins. Anthocyanthins is nothing, that is your flavonoid glycoside. It is flavonoid glycoside. Okay? Therefore, normally the flavonoid is associated with the flavonoid, the glycosides, and it is your anthocyanthins. Now, the procedure is that how to get it free from the sugar moiety. Therefore, when you hydrolyze this, that is your anthocyanin, treat it with the dilute HCl, you will get the sugar free part. And since it is this one, it is your sugar free part plus sugar. Therefore, this sugar free part is your flavonoid, and then it is called as E-glycon. It is E-glycon. And it is also known as anthocyanidins. And the sugar can be glucose, rhamnose, xylose, arabinose, as I told you. Xylose, arabinose, and so on. Therefore, these are the sugars which occur in the plant system, and that's why we have to just identify which sugar is present and what is the nature of your flavonoid, what is your nature of your anthocyanidins. This is the whole story and the introductory part of the flavonoid. And flavonoid occurs in the pale yellow dust in the flowers. They are usually first time isolated as a pale yellow dust. On leaves, flowers and all. That's why the very common family in which you can get a flavonoid, they are either gymnosperms or the angiosperms, you can get it, and accordingly you have to select the type of the family and the what type of the part you can get it.